there's a difference between doing TV opposed to what I'm doing now, because now you can be yourself and you don't have to worry about the manipulation. It's kind of like putting handcuffs on. And
Before workplace drama became a reality TV staple, American Chopper brought high-octane tension and custom bike building to the spotlight. Airing on the Discovery Channel from 2003 to 2010, the show followed Orange County choppers, led by Paul Teutul Sr. His fiery clashes with son Paul Jr. made for must-watch TV. But now, you might be wondering, what are they up to? Let's look at the cast members of American Chopper and where they are now. Paul Teutul Sr. Paul John Teutul Sr.'s story will show you the kind of resilience that turns a man into a legend. Born on May 1, 1949 in Yonkers, New York, his journey from working-class roots to television stardom was a struggle. Eventually, his name became synonymous with custom motorcycles, but the road there was anything but smooth. Growing up in Pearl River, New York, he developed a strong work ethic early on. His time with the United States Merchant Marine Academy during the Vietnam War only reinforced that discipline. But steel, fire, and machinery had always fascinated him. And when he returned home, he built a business from the ground up, Orange County Iron Works. At first, it was just steel fabrication, but something else was brewing. Teutul wasn't just a builder, he was an artist, and his canvas was metal. Inspired by the custom choppers roaring down the streets and lighting up movie screens, he began crafting his own bikes. What started as a side project turned into an obsession, and by 1999, he took a leap of faith. He left the iron business behind and launched Orange County Choppers, a shop that would soon define an era of motorcycle craftsmanship. But the world would come to know him not just through his bikes, but through the screen. When American Chopper premiered in 2002, it was an instant hit. Viewers were watching a family dynamic unfold in real time, with Teutul at the center. His unmistakable handlebar mustache, booming voice, and no-nonsense attitude made him an unforgettable presence. He wasn't just the boss, he was a force. And the show didn't just highlight the technical skill that went into building a custom motorcycle, it captured the raw tension between father and son. Paul Jr., his eldest, was every bit as stubborn and creative as his father, and their clashes became legendary. Over the years, certain builds stood out. There was the jet bike, an audacious attempt to strap jet propulsion onto a motorcycle, proving Teutul wasn't afraid to push the boundaries of engineering. Then came the Black Widow bike, a sleek, aggressive masterpiece that embodied both his and Paul Jr.'s artistic visions, though not without plenty of heated arguments. But no episode rocked the show quite like Senior versus Junior. By the time it aired in Season 6, the tension had reached its breaking point. A lifetime of clashing egos came to a head, and Paul Jr. walked away from Orange County Choppers, severing a professional bond that had been holding on by a thread for years. Outside of the shop, Teutul's life had its own set of struggles. He was open about his past with substance abuse, admitting to years of drug use that took a toll on his personal life. Sobriety was a hard-won battle, but one that shaped the man he became. He later reflected on how his choices affected his children, particularly the years he spent more focused on his own vices than his family. He had 4 children, Paul Jr., Michael, Daniel, and Christine, each carving their own path. Daniel took over Orange County Iron Works, keeping the family's steel business alive, while Christine pursued nursing. But it was the fractured relationship with Paul Jr. that remained the most public. A complicated mix of respect, rivalry, and unresolved tension. As the years passed, Teutul didn't slow down. He relocated Orange County Choppers to Florida, transforming it into more than just a shop. It became the OCC Roadhouse and Museum, a destination for motorcycle lovers, a place where his legacy lived and breathed. But he wasn't just about bikes. His passion extended beyond metal and engines. Alongside his partner, Joan Bulger Kay, he became an advocate for animal rescue, working with the Hudson Valley Society for the prevention of cruelty to animals to give back in a different way. Even as he built a new chapter, controversy followed. Legal battles, including accusations of sabotaging a television project, threatened to overshadow his work. But Teutul was nothing if not resilient, and as you're about to see, his son turned out to be exactly like him. Paul Teutul Jr. Born on October 2, 1974, Paul Jr. grew up in the shadow of a man whose presence was impossible to ignore. His father, Paul Sr., was a powerhouse in the world of metal fabrication, a man who built things with his hands and expected his son to do the same. But from an early age, Paul Jr. wasn't just interested in building. He wanted to create. That instinct, that ability to see beyond the raw materials and into what they could become, would define his career and his legacy. By the time he was 12 years old, he was already spending summers working in his father's business, Orange County Iron Works. His time in the Board of Cooperative Educational Services program during high school only refined those skills, making him a brilliant craftsman. When he finished school, he joined Orange County Iron Works full-time, rising through the ranks to oversee the railing shop. But there was always something more calling to him, and it was way beyond the scope of traditional fabrication. In 1999, everything changed. Paul Jr. and his father co-founded Orange County Choppers, and it wasn't long before the world took notice. By 2002, with American Chopper, their family business was a spectacle. At the heart of it all was Paul Jr., the chief designer, the man behind some of the most stunning, intricate custom motorcycles ever built. His attention to detail and his ability to merge art and mechanics set him apart. But what made the show unforgettable was the drama. He and his father clashed constantly, their arguments as intense as the machines they built. For the audience, it was impossible to look away. Through the years, Paul Jr.'s work spoke for itself. When he took on the Comanche bike, inspired by the military's stealth helicopter, he poured himself into every detail, making sure the final result honored the machine it was based on. Whether it was collaborating with his brother Mikey and longtime friend Vinny on the Mikey/Vinny bike, or crafting a machine for the Lincoln Motor Company, every project carried his signature. But all of that paled in comparison to the episode that would change everything: Senior versus Junior. By season 6, the tension between Paul Jr. and his father had reached its peak. The shouting matches, the slammed doors, the constant power struggles, none of it could be ignored anymore. And on April 9, 2009, it finally broke. After one final explosive argument, Paul Jr. was out, fired. The years of building, of shaping Orange County Choppers into what it was, meant nothing at that moment. But walking away from his father's company didn't mean walking away from his passion. If anything, it set him free. In 2010, he founded Paul Jr. Designs, a company that would allow him to create without limits. Based in Montgomery, New York, it quickly became a force in the custom motorcycle world. He brought in familiar faces, former OCC employees, trusted builders, people who believed in his vision, and the world was watching. The spin-off series American Chopper, Senior versus Junior, documented the rivalry between father and son, the struggle to prove who truly had the upper hand in the industry. Paul Jr. was no longer just the son of a legendary bike builder. He was carving his own path. In 2014, he partnered with Blizzard Entertainment for Azeroth Choppers, designing 2 bikes inspired by the factions in World of Warcraft. Fans voted on their favorite, and the winning design became an in-game mount. 2 years later, he took on the challenge of crafting custom motorcycles for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film. Each bike was a perfect representation of the 4 brothers, capturing their distinct personalities in metal and rubber. And while his professional life was soaring, his personal life was just as transformative. On August 20th, 2010, he married Rachel Beester, and their wedding was showcased on Say Yes to the Dress, giving fans a rare glimpse into his world beyond the shop. Then, on February 3rd, 2015, he achieved another milestone: fatherhood. His son, Hudson Seven Teutul, was born, adding a new layer to his journey. Balancing the roles of designer, entrepreneur, husband, and father wasn't easy, but it was a challenge he embraced. Still, he wasn't the only member of the cast ready to take up unbelievable challenges. Michael Teutul. Michael Joseph Mikey. Teutul's life has been anything but predictable. Born on the 26th of November, 1978, in Suffern, New York, he grew up in a household where steel, fire, and roaring engines were the language spoken. His father, Paul Sr., was a dominant force in the world of custom motorcycle building, and his older brothers were already deep into the craft. But Mikey was different. He was the outlier, the free spirit in a family of hard-nosed builders. He didn't take to the world of metalworking the way his father and brother did, and for a while, it wasn't clear where he fit into it all. Yet, in time, he would carve out his own role, not as a fabricator, but as the glue that held everything together. His introduction to Orange County Choppers wasn't glamorous. There was no grand apprenticeship, no mentorship in welding or engine work. Instead, he started in the simplest way possible, by cleaning up. He answered phones, took out the trash, and handled odd jobs that needed doing. But his real contribution went far beyond the mundane. His presence at the shop brought something that was desperately needed: levity. In a high-stress environment where his father and older brother constantly clashed, Mikey became the comic relief, the one who could break the tension with a joke or a ridiculous stunt. And when the cameras arrived in 2003 to begin filming American Chopper, it became clear that he was an essential part of the show's DNA. Mikey, caught between Paul Sr. and Paul Jr.'s explosive dynamic, often played the role of mediator, trying to ease the tension before it boiled over. He wasn't always successful, but his efforts endeared him to audiences who saw him as the voice of reason. Beyond that, he became a fan favorite for his humor, his ability to not take himself too seriously, and the rare moments when he showed a deeper, more introspective side. For years, he remained a constant at the shop, despite never becoming a full-fledged bike builder. Yet, despite his light-hearted reputation, Mikey's journey wasn't without its own struggles. He battled alcohol addiction, a fight that played out in the background of the show but was very real in his personal life. Eventually, he sought help, stepping away to focus on his health and well-being. Meanwhile, the rift between his father and brother grew wider, and as tensions reached their breaking point, he found himself increasingly torn between loyalty to his family and the need to forge his own path. By season 6, it became clear that his time at Orange County Choppers was coming to an end. The decision to leave wasn't just about the family drama, it was about self-preservation. When he walked away from OCC, he didn't just disappear. Instead, he did something unexpected. He reinvented himself. Without the noise of the shop, without the cameras following his every move, he turned to art. Painting became his escape, a way to express himself that had nothing to do with motorcycles or reality television. His work, filled with bold colors and abstract designs, was a reflection of his journey, his struggles, and his growth. He even opened his own gallery, Wolfgang Gallery, in Montgomery, New York, where he could showcase his pieces and share his passion with others. His artistic pursuits were just one part of his post-American Chopper life. He made appearances on late-night talk shows, bringing his signature humor to audiences outside the motorcycle world. He dabbled in entrepreneurship, launching FAR-Q Products, LLC, though details about the venture remained elusive. But perhaps most notably, he channeled his energy into philanthropy. In 2017, he partnered with Conquer Chiari, a foundation dedicated to raising awareness for Chiari malformation, a neurological condition. He hit the road on the Conquer Chiari Conquest, a campaign aimed at spreading knowledge and supporting those affected by the disorder. While his father and brother remained fixtures in the motorcycle world, Mikey had found something different: freedom. He wasn't tied to a shop, a business, or to the weight of his family's expectations. He was his own person, charting his own course. That didn't mean he had cut ties completely. Over the years, there were moments of reconciliation, glimpses of the family coming back together. But the wounds that had been inflicted over years of tension didn't heal overnight. Today, he still calls the Hudson Valley home, a quieter life compared to the chaos of the OCC years. His art continues to evolve, his sense of humor remains intact, and his story is far from over. However, there's one cast member that shocked the fans like none other: Vincent DiMartino. In New York's scenic Hudson Valley, Vinny came into this world on October 9, 1972. From the start, he was steeped in the pungent aroma of oil, the rumble of engines, and an unyielding work ethic. His father owned an auto repair shop, and by the time he was 9, he was involved in it as well, picking up tools and absorbing every lesson his father had to offer. By 14, he had moved beyond his father's shop and started working at a small engine repair business, diving into the world of cars and motorcycles with the kind of hunger that couldn't be taught. Every bolt, every weld, every engine he took apart and put back together was sharpening his instincts, preparing him for a future he didn't even know was coming. That future arrived in 2002 when he walked into Orange County Choppers. When American Chopper hit television screens, viewers saw Paul Sr.'s fiery temper, Paul Jr.'s design genius, and right there in the mix was Vinny, the quiet, steady force who made sure the wild ideas actually worked. He was a problem solver, the kind of guy who could take a chaotic vision and turn it into a rideable machine. Whether it was fabricating custom frames, fine-tuning intricate details, or just keeping the projects moving when tempers flared, Vinny's role at OCC was undeniable. His time on American Chopper gave fans a front-row seat to some of the most memorable builds, but one that stood out was the Mikey/Vinny bike. Teaming up with Michael Teutul, the shop's resident wildcard, Vinny helped bring an entirely new design to life. It was about chemistry, collaboration, and about taking two very different creative minds and blending them into one machine. The project was proof of Vinny's ability to work with anyone, to bring structure to chaos, and to let the work speak for itself. While the show focused on drama and family clashes, Vinny was different. He didn't get caught up in the shouting matches. He stayed focused on the work, on the craftsmanship. And for fans, that made him one of the most respected figures in the shop. But for all the success, and all the fame that came with American Chopper, Vinny had a decision to make. By 2007, after 5 years with OCC, he walked away. There was no dramatic exit and no screaming argument, just a quiet understanding that it was time to build something of his own. He had spent years making other people's dreams come to life. Now, it was time to chase his own. That same year, he launched V-Force Customs in Rock Tavern, New York, stepping fully into the role of business owner. And he didn't waste any time making an impact. The first major project under his new company, a custom chopper named V-Force 1, made its debut at Daytona Beach, and it was everything people had come to expect from Vinny: sleek, powerful, and built to perfection. Fans who had followed him from American Chopper watched as he took his skills to the next level, proving that he wasn't just part of the OCC machine, he was a force on his own. V-Force Customs quickly gained traction, and before long, he was joined by Cody Connelly, a familiar face from OCC. With Cody by his side, the shop grew, taking on ambitious projects that pushed the boundaries of design and performance. Then, in 2010, the industry pulled him back in. Paul Jr. had left OCC and started his own company, Paul Jr. Designs, setting the stage for one of the most anticipated rivalries in custom motorcycle history. And when the spin-off series, American Chopper, Senior vs. Junior, hit television screens, fans were eager to see how the battle would unfold. Vinny, never one for drama, made his return to do what he did best: build. Reuniting with Paul Jr. felt natural, a return to the kind of collaboration that had made their early years at OCC so successful. But this time, they were doing it on their own terms. While television made him famous, Vinny never let it define him. His skills went beyond motorcycles, and he proved it when he expanded into the world of automotive repair. With DiMartino Motorsports, he built a business focused on everything from performance tuning to full-scale restorations. But he didn't stop there. Teaming up with his brother Joey, he co-founded DiMartino Industries, diving into larger mechanical projects that extended beyond the motorcycle world. His career wasn't just about bikes anymore. It was about engineering, innovation, and never limiting himself to one lane. Despite his reputation in the industry, Vinny has always been a family man at heart. He and his wife, Melissa, built a life together away from the chaos of television fame. Their children, Vanessa, twins Isabella and Ava, and their youngest, Vincent, became his real pride and joy. He never chased the spotlight and never let success pull him away from what truly mattered. Unlike the explosive personalities that often dominated American Chopper, Vinny's legacy wasn't built on controversy or conflict. It was built on craftsmanship, dedication, and the simple belief that great work speaks for itself. But nobody knows how to balance things in life like the next cast member on this list: Rick Petko. Since his birth in 1968, there was something different about Rick. From an early age, machines fascinated him, but nobody knew about just how far this fascination would take him. He wasn't just interested in the way they looked or the sound they made, but the way they worked. The precision of moving parts coming together to create something greater than the sum of its pieces. Naturally, his journey into motorcycles was a calling. By the time he was old enough to work, he was already immersing himself in fabrication, learning every technique he could, from welding to metal shaping. It wasn't just about motorcycles, it was about understanding the soul of the machine, respecting the process, and knowing that every detail mattered. His natural talent and meticulous eye for detail didn't go unnoticed, and soon he found himself stepping into a world that would change everything: the world of Orange County choppers. It was a place where artistry met engineering, where raw materials were transformed into roaring, customized masterpieces. But when American Chopper premiered on television, it became something else entirely. While the Teutuls often dominated the spotlight with their fiery personalities, Rick stood out for an entirely different reason. He was there to build, and his hands, steady and deliberate, turned blueprints into reality, ensuring that every weld, every cut, and every polished surface met the highest standards. Fans of the show came to admire Rick for his calm, no-nonsense approach. He was all about the work, and that dedication earned him not only respect from viewers, but also a deep appreciation from his colleagues. Among all the builds he contributed to, one moment stood out above the rest. When Paul Sr. surprised him with Rick's dream bike. Unlike other commissions, this one wasn't for a client, a company, or a promotional event. It was for Rick, a recognition of years spent quietly perfecting his craft behind the scenes. The episode became a fan favorite, not because of high-stakes drama, but because it showcased something rare in reality television: genuine appreciation, camaraderie, and a well-deserved moment in the spotlight for a man who had never sought it. But Rick was never meant to be confined to just one shop, no matter how high-profile it was. After years at Orange County Choppers, he knew it was time for something different. He wanted to create something entirely his own, and his desire led to the birth of RPD Incorporation, a venture that was as much about craftsmanship as it was about independence. He was expanding his skill set, creating custom metalwork, hand-forged knives, and one-of-a-kind pieces that bore his signature attention to detail. Even as he built RPD Incorporation, his ties to the motorcycle community remained strong. He found himself working with Pocono Mountain Harley-Davidson, applying his expertise in fabrication and design to new projects that let him stay connected to the industry without the constraints of a television set. This move allowed him to blend two passions: custom bike building and sharing his knowledge with a new generation of riders and enthusiasts. Beyond the shop, Rick embraced a new way of connecting with the people who had followed his journey for years. Rick Petko married his wife, Brittany, in 2012, and together they have 2 daughters. In 2016, he left Orange County Choppers to return to Pennsylvania, aiming to be closer to his family. Rick often shares glimpses of his family life on social media, expressing deep appreciation for his wife and children. Social media also became an extension of his workshop, a place where fans could see his latest creations, get glimpses of his personal life, and watch as he continued to push his craft in new directions. Now, there's one man in the cast who has achieved truly extraordinary things, and you're about to find out who he really is. Cody Connelly. Long before the Cody Project etched his name into motorcycle history, Cody's story began on August 30th, 1985, in New York. By the time he was 5 years old, he had his first bike, an XR50, a machine that might have been small in size but massive in impact. With his father, Sean Connelly, as his first teacher, he spent countless hours learning the ins and outs of maintenance and getting his hands dirty. From that moment forward, he knew that motorcycles weren't just going to be a hobby. As he got older, that passion only intensified. He wasn't just content riding, he wanted to build. While attending Valley Central High School, he began shaping his future, splitting his time between school and working towards something bigger. He took a significant step by enrolling at the American Motorcycle Institute, a decision that would push him deeper into the world of fabrication and mechanics. But what made Cody's journey different was the fact that Orange County Choppers saw something in him before he had even fully stepped into the industry. They funded his tuition, a clear signal that they recognized his potential. That kind of backing wasn't handed out easily, and for a young builder, it was a rare opportunity to prove himself on a level that most could only dream of. In 2001, while still just a student, Cody walked into Orange County Choppers as an intern. And he wasn't there to just stand in the background. His skill and dedication quickly earned him a permanent spot on the team. One of his biggest moments came with the Cody Project, a bike he helped design and build. Unlike many of the high-profile bikes rolling out of OCC, this one wasn't for a corporate client or a major event. It was his. A project that showcased his talent, creativity, and ability to turn a concept into a finished machine. The show captured every step, giving viewers a front-row seat to a young builder stepping into his own. But the motorcycle world is complicated. After 6 years at OCC, Cody made a bold decision. He walked away. In 2007, he left the shop to join forces with Vincent DiMartino at V-Force Customs. He wasn't content to stay in the shadow of Orange County Choppers forever. He wanted to build something new, something he could help shape from the ground up. With Vinny, he had the freedom to take risks, to refine his craft without the pressure of television cameras capturing every move. But leaving OCC came with complications. In 2009, Cody filed a lawsuit against Paul Teutul Sr. and Orange County Choppers, alleging that they had continued to use his likeness for promotional purposes long after he had left, and that he had never received the custom chopper he had been promised. Despite the lawsuit, his name remained tied to the world of American chopper, and fans hadn't forgotten him. In the years that followed, he made appearances on American Chopper, Senior vs. Junior, stepping in to lend his skills to Paul Jr. designs. And as time passed, Cody made another unexpected move. He stepped away from the custom bike world entirely. He transitioned into working for a utility company, trading in the fast-paced, high-pressure environment of fabrication for something more stable. While it may have seemed like an unusual choice from the outside, for Cody, it was a chance to step out of the chaos and find a new challenge. As of now, social media presence keeps him connected to the world that first made him a familiar name. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.